The blue Amazon delivery van pulled into the industrial parking lot on Houston's south side at 11:47 p.m. on March the 15th, 2024, its familiar logo barely visible under the dim streetlights. To any casual observer, it looked like another routine late-night delivery, the kind of round-the-clock service that had made Amazon a household name across America. But federal investigators would later determine that this seemingly ordinary moment marked the beginning of one of the most audacious thefts in recent criminal history. Inside that van was David Ramirez, a 34-year-old contracted Amazon delivery driver who had been working Houston routes for 18 months without incident. Within the next hour, Ramirez would vanish with $17.2 million in cartel cash, triggering a federal manhunt that continues to this day and exposing a sophisticated money laundering operation that had been using Amazon's logistics network as an invisible highway for criminal proceeds. The shocking discovery began when Amazon's security algorithms detected unusual patterns in delivery confirmations from Ramirez's route. Packages were being marked as delivered to addresses that didn't exist. GPS tracking showed unexplained detours to unauthorized locations, and customer complaints about missing deliveries had spiked dramatically over the previous 2 months. What investigators initially assumed was simple package theft or employee fraud quickly evolved into something far more sinister. The cash had been hidden inside what appeared to be ordinary Amazon packages, shipped through multiple Texas facilities as part of an elaborate laundering pipeline that exploited the e-commerce giant's vast logistics network. Cartel operatives had developed a system for disguising drug proceeds as legitimate commercial shipments, using fake businesses, fraudulent shipping accounts, and corrupted employees to move millions of dollars through America's most trusted delivery service without attracting law enforcement attention. Federal agents discovered that Ramirez had been systematically diverting these high-value shipments to private storage locations over several months, replacing genuine cartel packages with decoy shipments while accumulating what investigators believe was the largest single theft of organized crime proceeds by an individual perpetrator in Texas history. The operation required detailed inside knowledge of Amazon's delivery procedures, sophisticated understanding of the criminal network's shipping methods, and careful planning that suggested Ramirez had been preparing for his eventual theft for an extended period. David Ramirez had lived the kind of anonymous life that made him perfect for what he ultimately accomplished. A Houston native who had worked various jobs in the service and logistics industries, Ramirez was hired as a contracted delivery driver through one of Amazon's delivery service partner companies in late 2022. His background check revealed no criminal record, no financial red flags, and references that described him as reliable and hardworking. Neighbors in his modest apartment complex in southwest Houston knew Ramirez as quiet and polite, someone who kept to himself but always returned greetings and maintained his property well. He drove an aging Honda Civic when not working, shopped at discount grocery stores, and lived within his means on a delivery driver's salary that provided basic comfort but little luxury. To everyone around him, David Ramirez appeared to be exactly what he claimed, a working-class man trying to build a stable life through honest employment. But beneath this carefully maintained facade, financial troubles had been mounting for months before the theft. Credit card bills, medical debt from an emergency room, visit without insurance, and car repair costs had created pressures that his Amazon income couldn't address. Bank records would later show unusual spending patterns in the weeks before his disappearance, cash withdrawals that exceeded his normal financial behavior, and purchases that suggested preparation for extended travel or permanent relocation. The heist itself demonstrated sophisticated understanding of both Amazon's delivery systems and the cartel's money laundering operations. Ramirez had identified that certain packages contained cash rather than legitimate merchandise, possibly through weight discrepancies, handling characteristics, or information provided by criminal contacts within the shipping network. He developed techniques for intercepting these packages during late-night shifts when supervision was minimal and other drivers were less likely to witness unusual activities. Using fake delivery manifests and GPS signal jammers purchased through online vendors, Ramirez created false records of completed deliveries while actually diverting high-value packages to storage units he had rented under fictitious names in different parts of Houston. The operation required careful timing to avoid detection by Amazon's tracking systems and customer service protocols that might reveal discrepancies between reported and actual deliveries. Surveillance cameras from a storage facility in Northeast Houston captured crucial evidence of Ramirez's activities on the night of March 15th. The footage shows him methodically loading unmarked boxes from his Amazon van into a personal vehicle, working with practiced efficiency that suggested he had performed similar operations multiple times previously. The boxes appeared heavy and were handled with care consistent with valuable contents, and Ramirez's body language indicated familiarity with the routine rather than nervous improvisation. The discovery that triggered the federal investigation came when local Houston police responded to complaints from supposed Amazon customers who had never received expensive electronic items they had ordered. The investigating officers noticed patterns suggesting organized fraud rather than simple delivery errors, leading to coordination with Amazon's security department and eventually FBI involvement when the scope of the criminal activity became apparent. FBI Special Agent Carmen Rodriguez assumed lead responsibility for the case when federal agents discovered connections between the missing packages and known cartel money laundering operations. Bank account analysis revealed payment patterns consistent with organized crime financial networks, and shipping records showed systematic exploitation of Amazon's logistics systems that required both inside knowledge and criminal coordination. This wasn't random package theft, Agent Rodriguez explained during a press briefing. We're dealing with someone who understood both Amazon's delivery procedures and criminal organization methods well enough to exploit vulnerabilities that most people couldn't identify. The systematic nature of the operation and the amounts involved clearly indicate organized crime connections that extend far beyond individual theft. The FBI's investigation quickly expanded beyond simple theft charges to include money laundering, conspiracy, and racketeering violations that carry potential sentences of decades in federal prison. The case represented an opportunity to investigate not just Ramirez's individual crimes, but the broader criminal network that had been using Amazon's delivery system to launder drug proceeds across multiple states. Amazon Corporation released a comprehensive statement emphasizing full cooperation with federal authorities while attempting to defend the security and integrity of their delivery network against public concerns about criminal exploitation. Amazon takes the integrity of our logistics systems extremely seriously, the company's official statement declared. We are working closely with law enforcement agencies to investigate this alleged criminal activity and have implemented additional security measures to prevent similar incidents. The safety and security of our customers, employees, and delivery partners remains our highest priority. But the company's carefully crafted response did little to calm mounting public concern about the vulnerability of America's e-commerce infrastructure to criminal exploitation by sophisticated criminal organizations. The revelation that cartel operatives had successfully used Amazon's trusted delivery network to launder millions of dollars raised uncomfortable questions about how many similar operations might be running undetected through other companies' logistics systems throughout the United States. Corporate security experts acknowledge that the Ramirez case exposed fundamental vulnerabilities in modern logistics operations that extended far beyond Amazon's specific systems. The complexity of contemporary supply chains, the volume of packages processed daily, and the reliance on contracted employees created multiple opportunities for criminal exploitation that traditional security measures had not adequately addressed. This case demonstrates that criminal organizations are becoming increasingly sophisticated in their exploitation of legitimate business systems, explained Dr. Michael Thompson, a supply chain security consultant who works with major logistics companies. They're not just looking for ways to move drugs or weapons anymore. They're studying our entire commercial infrastructure to identify weaknesses that can be exploited for money laundering, fraud, and other financial crimes. Social media platforms flooded with speculation about cartels infiltrating delivery networks, conspiracy theories about corrupt Amazon employees, and increasingly paranoid questions about how many similar operations might be running undetected through other companies' logistics systems. Facebook groups dedicated to true crime discussions generated thousands of posts analyzing every aspect of the case, while Twitter hashtags like Yashun, Amazon Cartel, and Delivery Scam trended for days as users shared theories and concerns. The public reaction reflected broader anxieties about the security of systems that Americans had come to rely on completely without understanding their vulnerabilities. Amazon deliveries had become so routine and trusted that most consumers never considered the possibility that their packages might share delivery routes with criminal proceeds, or that their familiar delivery drivers might be involved in sophisticated criminal enterprises. Texas residents expressed particular shock at revelations about criminal organizations operating within familiar commercial services that they had trusted implicitly. "It's like something out of a movie," said Maria Gonzalez, a Houston resident who regularly receives Amazon deliveries and had interacted with Ramirez on several occasions. "You never think about who's handling your packages or what else might be in those delivery trucks. It makes you wonder what's really going on behind all these everyday services we take for granted." Local news stations conducted interviews with residents in neighborhoods where Ramirez had made deliveries, revealing that many people remembered him as professional and courteous, exactly the kind of driver that customers preferred to see handling their packages. The contrast between his public persona and his criminal activities created cognitive dissonance that made the case particularly disturbing for people who had trusted him with valuable deliveries. "He seemed like such a normal guy," said Robert Martinez, a customer who had received packages from Ramirez dozens of times over 18 months. "Always polite, always careful with packages, never seemed like he was in a hurry or stressed about anything. If someone had told me he was stealing millions of dollars, I would have thought they were crazy." It makes you wonder who you can really trust anymore. The psychological impact of the case extended beyond immediate security concerns to deeper questions about the reliability of institutions and systems that modern Americans depend on daily. If trusted delivery drivers could be sophisticated criminals, and if major corporations' security systems could be systematically exploited, what other assumptions about everyday safety and security might be dangerously naive? The FBI's investigation revealed that Ramirez had fled immediately after the theft, abandoning his apartment, his regular vehicle, and all connections to his previous identity with efficiency that suggested months of advanced planning rather than panicked improvisation. Intelligence reports suggest he may have crossed into Mexico within hours of stealing the money, possibly using false documentation and transportation networks provided by the same criminal organization he had robbed, or by competing criminal groups seeking to exploit his knowledge of cartel operations. The speed and completeness of Ramirez's disappearance impressed federal investigators who had experienced tracking fugitives with substantial resources and professional criminal assistance. Within 6 hours of the theft, Ramirez had eliminated all traces of his presence in Houston while positioning himself beyond the immediate reach of American law enforcement agencies conducting intensive manhunt operations. "This wasn't someone who suddenly decided to steal money and run," Agent Rodriguez explained during a case briefing for federal prosecutors. "Every aspect of his disappearance was planned and executed with precision that indicates either exceptional criminal intelligence or assistance from criminal organizations with extensive experience helping people disappear. The timing, the methods, and the completeness of his escape suggest professional-level capabilities." Mexican law enforcement agencies were immediately notified of Ramirez's fugitive status and provided with detailed information about his background, physical description, and possible destinations within Mexico's vast territory. But federal agents understood that locating individual fugitives in Mexico presents significant challenges for both American and Mexican authorities, especially when subjects possess substantial financial resources and potential criminal organization support. The $17.2 million that Ramirez stole provides sufficient resources to remain hidden indefinitely while funding sophisticated efforts to avoid detection by law enforcement agencies operating with limited budgets and jurisdictional constraints. The money could be used to purchase high-quality false identification documents, establish legitimate businesses that provide cover for his new identity, or simply support modest lifestyle in remote areas where American fugitives can blend into expatriate communities without attracting official attention. More concerning for federal agents, Ramirez's knowledge of both Amazon's operational procedures and cartel money laundering methods makes him potentially valuable to criminal organizations that might provide protection in exchange for information or services. His expertise could be used to identify additional vulnerabilities in legitimate business systems or to help criminal organizations develop more sophisticated methods for exploiting commercial logistics networks. Federal agents warn that Ramirez should be considered armed and dangerous, possibly traveling under multiple fake identities obtained through criminal networks that specialize in providing false documentation to fugitives and criminal operatives. His transformation from trusted delivery driver to federal fugitive demonstrates the kind of character change that can make individuals unpredictable and potentially violent when facing capture or confrontation. The FBI has established a dedicated task force to coordinate the ongoing manhunt, working with Customs and Border Protection, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Interpol, and Mexican Federal Police to monitor potential sightings and track financial activities that might indicate Ramirez's location or current activities. The investigation represents one of the most intensive international fugitive cases in recent FB1 history. David Ramirez, last seen March 15, 2024. $17.2 million still missing. FBI reward active. Case remains open.